The program you are about to watch is underwritten by Allergan. The views expressed therein are solely those of the doctors. You GLOWGetters have asked for help, and we are here to give it. Today we have a mother-daughter question. Let's see what they have to say.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm in my 50s, and I've noticed that there's been a couple of changes. A few years ago, I had to have a hysterectomy, and that definitely took a toll on my skin. Two areas where I really noticed a difference. One is I'm just drier than I used to be. And then the second thing is my skin doesn't bounce back the way it used to, so there's definitely a loss of elasticity. You know, I always use sunscreen, I always have, and then I put foundation on top of that, but I really don't have a routine per se, and I would really like to be able to pass something on to my daughter, so when she goes through the aging process, she can do it as gracefully as possible.
So it makes sense, right? I mean, she's basically induced menopause when she had her hysterectomy, and probably her ovaries were taken out as well. And so that's what we were talking about earlier, where when you go into menopause, you lose that intrinsic ability to create new collagen. But she's complaining about overall dryness as well as elasticity. So the ability of that skin to recoil right back onto underlying structures. So what do you recommend for someone like this, Ava?
Well, it's a very interesting question about how to approach someone who has a surgical menopause, because her estrogen levels have plummeted, and so her skin is in shock. But I imagine that her decreasing elasticity has been going on for a long time. And so I would love for her to come into the office to have some treatments, you know, especially something to do some tissue tightening, whether it's radiofrequency or the focused ultrasound. But if she really didn't want to do any of that, I'd like to start her on a very powerful skincare regimen, something that she would not only use on her face, but on her neck. So I would definitely include retinol, a DNA repair, and then some growth factors. So I would go with the multi-layer approach.
I agree, because I think that it's really hard to resuscitate all that collagen, you know, back to where she may have been.
There's also some at-home devices too that she could use.
That's true.
As well.
And I would actually do an injectable, filler.
Okay.
100%. Just because I feel like her cheeks need to be picked up. I would tell her, just try your best to sleep on your back, and they have different pillows that can assist you with that process.
Because sometimes it's not just the skin, right? I mean, it's that underlying bone that holds up the skin that almost serves as that structure and support. And so people think it's just the skin that's, you know, that's causing the issue, but it's not.
Well, her skin doesn't look that bad, to be honest with you. She may have all those symptoms of dryness and everything, but it's really her volume loss that really makes her look older.
Right.
And so, yes, she needs a great routine, and I'm sure the quality, the light reflex, everything about her skin will improve greatly, but she definitely needs some volume replacement.
Like what kind of skincare regimen would you recommend someone who is noticing the changes of like the transepidermal water loss that we call it? Basically the ability, you start losing the ability to hold that water into your skin.
That's right. And so there is a product by Sente that is that actually has heparan sulfate, which would really help her. There's a dermal repair product that would help her a lot. There's also a product by Elastin that actually stimulates elastin, which would also help her a lot.
With that recoil that she's
right.
talking
But I would use
and then there's
retinols
Emipel.
and growth factors, and I don't use Emipel, but that's how we all different. We're all different.
And that is that is to help people with estrogen deficient skin.
So we can do a lot to improve her skin quality, but she needs some repair and replacement.
So I think we can all kind of agree, though, that menopause definitely, even if it's surgically induced, can definitely play a role in the skin, make you drier, and there are dermal repair creams that can absolutely help, and other products that have analogs that can mimic the effects of estrogen on the skin, and I think that there's more to definitely come. But let's see what her daughter had to say, because I think we can also agree that the changes in a 20-year-old and what we would recommend for a 20-year-old are going to be a little bit different than what we recommend to someone who's in their 50s.
Hi, my name is Ari. I'm 28 and I live in Los Angeles. My mom is fantastic and beautiful, but she never really had much of a skin routine other than she did tell me to use sunscreen. So I do have that down. But there was nothing really that she had to pass on to tell me. And You know, I'm starting to notice now, as I am 28 and I'm inching towards 30, some changes in my skin. So for me, keeping my skin as healthy and fresh and glowing as I can is super, super crucial. So I would love to hear what you all think is the most important ingredient, most important thing that I should be doing as I start creeping into my 30s to stay vibrant and youthful. Thanks.
I do appreciate that her mom recommended sunblock. I think that's the number one thing.
That is the number one
that
thing.
anyone, whether you're
100%,
an adolescent, teenager, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, or anyone can be doing.
Well, I certainly, you could kind of appreciate that she has a lot of freckling there. And so I think that she would do really well putting her on either an alpha hydroxy acid with an antioxidant. I would definitely have her use an antioxidant every morning with the sunscreen. Really practice sun protective behavior, complete with hats, sunglasses, sun protective clothing. And then maybe 3 times a week, I would have her use something in the retinoid category as well.
So freckles are sun damage, and even though they're cute when you're little, they're definitely a sign of sun damage. So to repair those, she definitely needs a sunscreen that has DNA repair, and I'll bet she's not using that. And also, she would do wonderfully well on tranexamic acid topically, which is discoloration defense, and that would be a great product. In addition to her retinol, topical buccal, which is a product called Melatonic, which feels luxurious. People love it over their retinol, and sometimes makes a retinol easier to use.
that
And I can actually tolerate that,
Right.
where I can't tolerate others. And then I would save a hyaluronic acid for her, just for great moisturizer on her face, on her neck, and on the backs of her hands.
You know, one thing I'm telling my younger patients now is forget the face, start with the neck. The
The
neck
neck and the
ages
chest.
so much faster than the face, and it's much, much harder to fix. So a lot of what we're approaching, I tell them the lower part of the neck, because the chin will protect the upper part, but this part of the neck and the sides of the neck need protection. So start here and then work your way up. That's really critical. And I'm going to stick with my favorite ingredient, and I think that's retinol. Even in Southern California, even if you live in a sunny climate, retinol on a daily basis. Find a formula that works for you, combine it with the right hydrators, and then you'll age beautifully.
I say the backs of the hands also, not just her pretty little face, because the backs of the hands also really start to show your age. And she lives in SoCal, and so I think that's super important as well. You know?
So I think that Ari and her mom kind of showcase that, you know, depending on the age, you're going to have different issues. And so I think we actually have some photos of me and my mom, because it may not necessarily just be age. It could also just be different skin types. And so my mom, her skin type's a little bit more olive than mine. And so she tends to have, you see, she has much darker hair. She has darker eyes. She has more olive tone to her skin. And so I'm a little bit fairer because my dad's lighter than me. And as a result, she's got more pigment issues where I have more kind of red issues.
You have no issues.
No. Well, depends who you ask. And so you can see here, like, she's more olive and I'm more red. I have no makeup on in this photo. And so it may not necessarily be just because she's your mother, you know, or just because she's older, you're going to recommend something different. It's also because we may have just different skin issues, even if you're in the same family. And so she can apply something that's going to possibly help her pigment, but for me, I need to do things that are going to help my redness.
So we now have a lot more than just Bonnie Bell's 1006, which is what my mother used every single night. And I remember her taking the cotton pad out and taking the bottle of 1006, and I still remember the smell of 1006.
Oh, yeah,
But
me
now we
too.
have so many things that we can use.
Yeah, it was from back in the day.
I think we actually have some photos of Doris and her daughter.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
So my daughter's
Look at you,
also
Sabrina.
28, and she has been following and reading. And when she was little, she said, "Mommy, you need to write a book so I'll know what to do later." So I wrote a book about skincare, and she's in medical school now, and hopefully will be one of our Derm Diva-lings coming up soon.
dermatologist.
Yes, very proud of her. And she's
So
getting married
great.
soon. But we have very similar skin types. And she's been really great about sun protection. And you can see she's young, but she's been protecting her neck really well. She really loves following a skincare routine and regularly comes into my closet and takes things, which I very quietly leave out for her. So she thinks it's all her, but it's really me
Which is
guiding
cute
her.
because it's funny. I have to supply my mom with the skincare products, Where when I was young, my mom, I didn't have the luxury to have a mother who was a dermatologist, although I love and honor my mom. So all I really got from her was similar to Ari, just wear sunblock, and she'd lather me up with it, so I'm appreciative of that. I don't have a bunch of brown spots to show for it because I was so protected. But I agree, you know, sometimes we almost have to take care of our moms, you know? So yes.
No, I was just going to say that I thought it was a great picture, and I love how she's showing a younger version. Doris, that's a younger, Sabrina's a younger version of you, and so I just thought the picture was just enchanting.
I think she's so much better.
No, you're both gorgeous. Gorgeous picture. Yeah.
And Janine, I think we actually have a photo of you and your daughter.
So with me, I'm an ex-lifeguard, ex-swim instructor, and ex-swim champ who did not wear sunblock during the formative years of all of that, because at that point it was just something called pre-sun, which was super chalky. It did not rub in well. And I was brown and fabulous, and I didn't need sunblock. And I hate it, of course, when my African-American patients tell me they don't need sunblock at all. It's interesting to look at my daughter because, unfortunately, a little bit of dark circles run in my family and have for generations. So here's Jade at about, I think she was about 3.5 in that picture. You see the Easter lilies behind us at church one year, and I've been slathering her with sunblock since day one. And so she hopefully will not have the melasma that I suffer from. I've suffered from melasma
But look how
since
you've
I'm
improved
21.
It. And look
Oh
at your
yeah, no,
skin now.
100%.
So amazing.
Because I'm very, very vain with that. And then also, I have underlying rosacea. She did get my acne gene and she did get my eczema gene, so she's like, thanks a lot, Mom. But at least
she'll
she
have
didn't
less
get
wrinkles
those two.
because of the acne,
yeah,
right?
Exactly, exactly.
So with all of the advances that have been made in skincare, the idea of aging like your mother or even like your grandmother will take on a whole new meaning and even be something to look forward to. Everyone needs to take care of their skin. Find out how on The Gist.